Okay, 61 man lift.
This is a man lift for the Omni. We use this thing almost daily to hang in drapes, anything kind of everything we use. We currently have a unit, but that unit has been moving around to other city facilities because we're needing them there. We would keep the current unit, probably house it at the Public Works facility or possibly here at City Hall because we are using it in a number of locations. So just looking at replacing that.
I do have that as above the line on me. Does anyone not?
Is that the same thing as a bucket list, a bucket trucks?
It's no, this is a self-contained.
Indoor.
It's indoor.
I will tell you that there's a very high probability. Once if this makes it through the process, we will get it. But as you're hearing with Jared's truck or Jared's vehicles, the police vehicles, in our early conversations, there's probably a very high probability we won't see this item until 2024.
So, is the man lift eligible for 20-year bonding?
I would guess they're gonna say no, but
My guess would be no as well. But I was having a side conversation. When I hear back from Brad at Bayard, after we decide like where we're at for today, I will provide a list that will show what is eligible for bonding and what is not. So if we want to keep it on for now, we can. And then once I get that information and I will for sure have it before our next meeting, then we can kind of,
Yeah, I'd like,
that can help make some decisions.
was there anyone who wanted to remove it? Yeah, let's keep it on for now. I suspect that's going to move into a different funding stream. Okay, the cooling unit.
Cooling unit. So around the Omni Center, as it was a design build, we have a number of air conditioning units all around the facility. The air conditioning unit up front, the front lobby, the front bathrooms, the concession stand is out and not functioning. So we need to replace that unit.
I do have that as above the line too, but that would also not be eligible for a 20-year bond. We would have to pay for that either through ARPA, a short-term loan, or some other means.
You mean non-repairable or just?
Yes, we have stuck a considerable amount of money into that unit trying to get it functioning, and we're not getting the life. It needs to be replaced.
Is there anyone who does not want to pay for that this year, at least at this time? Okay. Next is Building 1 plumbing restroom replacement.
So
This also has to do with ADA as well.
yes, so in the front of the building, the old portion of the building that was constructed back in 92, there's not handicap accessible restrooms in there. So we need to reconfigure both the men's and women's restrooms up front. And this is what we have allocated for that.
Is there anyone who does not want to include this, at least for now, for consideration for funding next year?
ADA compliance.
Okay. Next is the air handler rebuild in Building 1.
So our air handlers in our front arena, being of the age of, back in 92, 93, all of those air handlers have to be manually adjusted to let more airflow and stuff out. So we're constantly sending staff up to have to manually do that. We're looking to upgrading this and putting it on our electronic system so that a push of the button, we can do it and it would save staff time.
Okay, so it's a time savings, potentially a cost savings. It works now, but it's just clunky.
Correct. We have to send somebody up into the mezzanine to go do it.
I've actually had this above my line barely, but I'm thinking now I want to remove it above my line because I know we've had a lot of other things we've added on. Is there anyone here who wants to argue we should keep it above the line?
This order is the park board order.
Correct. Yes, it is.
Anyone want to say we should keep it above? Jared.
I think you got a lot of, the one good thing we've been investing in the Omni Center over the last 5 years with a lot of capital projects. So it's been good because there was a long run where really that building had lackluster investment. So that's the reason you're seeing a lot of these things because investment was not put into that building. I I mean, in talking to Dan, these are all, you know, air handlers and AC units and I mean, it just, you're gonna need them eventually, but we gotta prioritize what we're gonna do.
So what is your recommendation?
If this is the priority order, I think we should leave it in.
Okay,
Is it the
Okay
highest
for now.
priority of the remaining items?
That is what we did at the park board and based on what
Right.
Brian and the presentation we gave there, yes.
we'll leave it in for now. All right, and then number 65.
So this is probably the most notable in the back arena and our back banquet rooms. Every time our air handler kicks in back there, if you're in a meeting, this morning, we had our open enrollment and all of a sudden you hear the clunking and the banging that, you know, this units, we have comments when people in groups are meeting back there, you know, sounds like a jet engine's taken off. Would replace that in 3 locations throughout the building.
It is actually very noticeable if you've ever been in there.
Yes.
Again, I did not have this above my line. Is there anyone here who wants to argue we should also be considering funding this?
Yeah, it says 3 each.
What? There's 3. There's 3 units that they would be replacing.
He'd want to do them probably all at once. so we
Correct.
Get the best pricing.
Correct. Get a contractor in there one time to do it.
The 65 is for all 3.
That is correct, yes.
What are you thinking, Mayor?
Well, I've been sitting in that room when the clunking is happening
Mhm.
and I can tell you, to me, it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
And that's a facility, like, this is in the banquet room where you want someone to have like a wedding or something and it's not a good atmosphere. I'm putting a plug in for it, Dan.
Well, but I agree with you. I mean, that's the difficulty. I understand the situation we're in. There's, you know, as Chief said, there's a lot of projects here. We have to try to, you know, manage what we can.
Again, I mean. It sounds to me, if we're gonna be looking at projects, that we should be removing 64 and doing 65. Because again, 64 it makes life better,
Correct.
but it works.
Correct.
65 is an issue. So I guess what I'm asking is, would we consider removing 64 for 2023 and replacing with 65?
How do you feel about that?
I would support that.
Okay, let's do that because I don't want to listen to that anymore.
I was there this morning and it's logged.
1 second here. So this is me. And it's.
I can tell you, my wife just recently attended a training through Gunderson there, and she came home and commented like, it's really hard to hear this there, hearing that because something was so loud up in the ceiling.
That's
Which should have been on that tour.
Yep.
Had another-
65,000.
I'm teasing. I know you couldn't possibly go everywhere.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Dan. All right, next, 66, arena number 1 AC unit.
So this is to replace the air conditioning unit in Arena 1. Again, it's a water-based system. So we continually have to make sure this time of year that we have that unit drained. And then we got to refill it in the spring. It functions, it works, but it's not very efficient. And so it's just coming back to getting a more efficient unit to put in the front arena.
I have this below the line.
And it's not at the priority of any of the ones that I listed below. I would keep it below the line
Okay.
where we're at.
100,000.
Yeah. I mean, it'll probably be moving up already next year, but yeah. And then I already have, I don't remember our conversation, the rink number 2. Oh, yes, I do. Rink number 2 chiller, you said actually it's working better now than.
So, yeah, I'm just gonna make a plug here. We've been fortunate to be working with Train. We have a few engineers from Train that have been over and helped us. When we have an issue, they'll answer that phone basically at any time and be there to assist us. And knock on wood, we have had the unit has been running extremely well the last 18 months when we did stick some work into it and worked with them. So I think we're okay, you know, at this time. Now I could come back a month from now and say something happened, but that's the situation. I mean, it's a huge dollar. It's 550,000. You know, we're not in a situation we were back when we needed to replace the Arena 1 chiller. I think if we
You know,
continue
it
to
shows
work
me
with it.
you're Out of luck. for
You-
all winter.
Well, he doesn't have a ice surface there. Which would be bad. But, okay. So is there anyone who wants to argue we should keep it on?
Yeah, I have no problem. with
Sabrina.
that. If we're taking that off, we could afford these other ones.
Sabrina?
I'm not arguing for or against, just question, have we ever looked at some of the funding from Lacrosse County to put towards this, or has that ever been explored?
That's how it first came about, was like 3 years ago. To allocate, some money towards it. That's when the unit was not functioning very well. We were able to stick some maintenance into it and work with some representatives from Train. And we've seen a big improvement with it, but that would definitely be something that we'd look at from the county when we need to get to that point.
Well, but the trouble, what happened is we did ask for money and they gave us like 50,000 and then we weren't able to fund, well, we chose not to fund the $450, $100,000 balance. And so then we had that money sitting there that we didn't know what, we couldn't do anything with it really. We had to give it back.
Yes.
I just think countywide, the ice that is in at the Omni is important to the county in general. So I think it would be a good use of funding that we received from them in the future. But if it's working now, I'm okay moving it below the line.
All right, number 68, parking lot seal and stripe.
This is just the annual maintenance, trying to do it. We had it in to do this year. It didn't get funded. The parking lot's in not bad shape, but with the amount of events that we have, not having the parking lot striped, people complain and stuff about that. It's just an item that you'll continue to see with us until we have it.
They don't see the striping?
Yeah, that's one of the biggest complaints that they see when they get up there. It's hard to see it and, people park then kind of kitty wampus in there.
What do you think, Mayor? I'm thinking.
Well, I mean, he seems like he doesn't mind, but I just think like sealing the parking lot and restriping it is something that helps preserve it. It's very expensive if you end up having to redig. It's like the chip seal program. And then also it's something that you can do when you have that freshly sealed and that nice paint. I mean, that's a visual impact right away for people. So we can take it out this year, but we need to remember next year that it has to be a priority and I'm going to advocate.
I agree.
For it next year because we can't let it go too long.
So you saying the same thing for 79?
79?
Well, let's,
That's a-
Stripping and-
We're not up to that.
let's keep on the,
Yeah, it's the same thing.
well, but it's a different project. So,
Right.
yeah, so, so what we're saying is, everyone's saying do it below the line. And then next year, we really have to take a look at it. It'll show next year because it's going to show that it was delayed for 2 years. That usually it definitely catches my attention when I see a 2-year delay. So, all right, 69 kitchen.
Yeah, this one here is labeled a little different. When we first submitted this, we've actually worked with the county now and we've made the request through the common council for the $100,000 for renovations to the concessions or, our kitchen one or concessions 1 and 2. So this one should be removed and put for other funding sources. If the county is able to fund the project, as we hope, then the money would come from the county. If it doesn't get funded, then we won't do the project.
Shouldn't all that be on here with funding?
From other, yeah, and we kind of relabeled it when we got into discussions and stuff, so that's what it should be. We should relabel this.
So, okay, we're gonna go on to the library next. I know you're gonna talk this in detail anyway, but you'll notice on my own notes at the bottom of my charts on the last page, I'm recommending that we actually approve all library projects, all of them, but they would be funded using existing funds. There's approximately $190,000 remaining from 2008 and 2009 bonded projects. So you don't see them anywhere on my list, but that's because I don't think we need to have a 2023 bond for them. Dan, am I
Yeah.
out in left field or what? Yeah, go ahead, Mayor.
So specifically, there's $156,388 in that library fund,
156.
388, and that's from Sabrina. And that money that's the remainder of the money that was initially put aside initially the plan was that the museum was going to leave and move over to the building at the Great River Landing. And so this money was put aside to rejuvenate or to switch over, however you want to look at it, the area that the Historical Society had to be like a conference room. When the Great River Landing project scope changed, the Historical Society never vacated. But when that happened, that area also was not really renovated when the rest of the library was renovated. So maybe I feel like if this money, I feel like we should go ahead and spend this money. I don't have a problem with that, but I think that the money was intended for that particular space, where the Historical Society is now, and there are some really needed updates. So maybe Dan could speak to that. I don't know if Brian is
Yeah,
on
so.
or whatever, but you guys have talked about it.
Yeah, we have talked about it. Staff doesn't have any numbers back yet on what it would cost to do some things. With some of the displays and things that are in the museum, it becomes a little bit more difficult to try to figure out how we recarpet and how we do some of the things in there. But that is something that staff is currently looking at and what potential upgrades could be made.
So that would leave us with, let's see here, $37,000 remaining. If we use this for the library projects, all of them, and we don't have to do all of them, there would still, that's 119,000, leave us with 37,000 remaining. So I don't know the projects that.
And I can't answer that. I know carpeting is what they looked at through it. One of the projects Brian is working on. It's hard for me to say right now what, would that be sufficient or not sufficient?
I feel it would be insufficient just based on what little conversation I've had. I think there's things with like the light fixtures and even just like broken things around the facility, besides the fact that it would need to be painted and the ceiling repaired in areas and the carpeting.
So the roof, I mean, I don't know how much you think you need. So if we were to fund item 70, 71, 72, that would then leave you with 52,000. I don't know what the projects would be. I just don't.
We can work on bringing something back. Staff is on it right now. They're trying to get prices. They're trying to get contractors. They're trying to do some things to get it. It's just hard for me to. We might be able to eat up to 150,000 with it. We might use 60. I just.
Yeah.
I mean, if your basis is spending this other money, then I'm opposed to that. I mean, I think we should look at the projects like we are every other one and look at it that way. And
Well,
we can add some more in, but I think that money, I think we need to take care of the items that need to be addressed in that Historical Society space first.
$159,000 worth?
156. I don't know.
$156,000?
We can't answer that right now. I mean, I think if we come back a month from now, we hopefully would have some answers and saying if we came in and, replaced light fixtures, we did that, we could have it for you.
And would all of those projects be ordered higher than the library? I mean, we got to look at this holistically.
I think that's kind of what the mayor is getting at, is when we did the renovation in 2008-9, nothing was done to that area. That area is original from the 1983 library. So the whole library was renovated, but we left that area because we thought it was going to be
Changing its
changed.
use.
So that area really hasn't had the update that the rest of the library did have back in 2009.
And 56 in previous funds. There's 119,000 on projects with the library, but they're saying that there's Historical Society things they want to do in addition with that money.
What I'm saying is I think that we should consider the capital improvement budget and rank the priority projects and not consider funding at this point. We're not with anything else. We're not with the ARPA
Okay.
funds. We're not
All
with
right.
the state. I mean, and then if this other information becomes available and we want to add on some projects because of that, then that's fine.
Add on or use funding sources to reduce the amount of bonding is obviously, we're gonna have to cut. I mean, we're already, getting above where we need to be, but.
That money can only be spent on the library.
Okay, boiler replacement, high efficiency new. I have this would definitely be above the line. I actually had it being funded with these other sources. But I'm curious about whether or not we can look at geothermal on this too.
We could look at geothermal. It's just, that's not something, we had a conversation yesterday with it, so that has been discussed with staff. But that's as far as it's gone in the last, less than 24 hours, so.
So I guess just you and I had this discussion when we first sat down, but I was able to be enlightened a little bit about geothermal in this region. And what I discovered back in 2000, I want to say it was 13 or 14. Again, technology changes, cost change, I got it, was that geothermal in this area is a huge winner. Generally speaking, you get about a 5-year return on investment with new construction and a 10 to 15 on a retrofit. With the project that I worked on in the past with 57 homes, after the test wells were drilled, they came back and said return on investment was 3 years. So we went forward with the largest geothermal loop project in the Army at that time and installed it. And it paid for itself within 3 years, which is astounding. What I don't know is, that wasn't right next to a river, so I don't know how water affects it. I don't even know if it's possible. I mean, the library is very close. I don't know if that means anything. I don't know. But I would love to find out, because if we can get that kind of return on investment and reduce our heating costs, that'd be phenomenal.
Yep, we'll get on that, and make some phone calls. So,
Okay. But that said, I would have that above the line. Is there anyone who would not have the boiler above the line? All right, so that's a yes, but we'll have to figure funding later. I don't know, right? So. 1 second. It's number 70. And that is 45K for now. And that would not be able to be bonded probably, right? Or would we expect a boiler to last more than 20 years?
I would think it would be a 20-year. I would think it should be, but I know we ran into issues with the one out here last year, so that's. So I don't agree with it, but I think it should be bonded for.
Right, we'll put it under
Now
bonding.
they're gonna deny it.
I mean,
Probably will.
You'll have to find out.
But I'll let you know for sure. My guess is probably not, but I'll let you know for sure.
Okay. And then next is the parking lot ADA slope. I would have that above. It's a small dollar amount and it gets us more ADA compliant as a city. Is there anyone who would disagree with that?
Dan, I was gonna ask if that would help the problem with the water coming.
that's what this main focus is going to be. Along with the slope, I mean, we can't fix all of the slopes through the whole thing, but this is, Brian does have a plan with this and has gotten some pricing on it to help with it. We've had a number of patrons and staff there fall because of the water runs across the parking lot, and we have a lot of slipping and falling because of it.
Okay, number 72, roof over adult section or museum.
This is actually will be the flat roof. We have a small section of flat roof, the way the building is constructed. And this would be the flat roof replacement at the library.
Is it just due to be replaced? Is it leaking now?
We're not having leaking issue now, but it is due to be replaced.
Again, I had this above my line because I figured we'd be using the 156K. If, we don't know that we can use that, I would actually put it below the line and kick it to next year. Personally, what do you think?
It's fine.
Kick it? Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
It is not leaking now.
Now,
Has there been any preliminary repairs up there at all?
I mean, yeah, well, staff is up there a lot because the way the roofs fall and with all the leaves and things there, we have to spend a lot of time on that part of the roof because if we don't, it leaks and then it runs in the building, it comes over the trough and runs in the building. So we do spend a lot of time in this section of the roof.
It's because it's a
You
flat
replace it,
roof.
You're still gonna have to do.
Yes, correct.
It's because it's a flat roof. I hate flat roofs up here, but there's nothing we can do about that. When I saw it today,
Right.
it's going to have to stay a flat roof because of the design, but it's a small section, so.
Yep.
All right. Okay, and then number 73, carpet replacement. Again, if I'd known, if we had the 156K to spend on the library, I would have had that approved, but I think right now we kick that one more year. It's a new request. Anyone disagree?
That's just in the meeting room. The rest of the library is okay?
Yes.
Okay. So then we're on to City Hall. And the next item is actually my number one overall project that I think we need to do overall out of the entire capital improvements as number one, and that's getting that generator. But Dan, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I really kind of refer this to Jared. He's been doing most of the work. He's been working with Strand on doing it. I think we're well on the way and would agree that we've kicked this can down the road far enough. We need to make it happen.
Sabrina, would you agree that A design is already designated 50,000 from ARPA because we're already
Correct,
spending that?
correct.
Yeah, from 22 ARPA, that 50K is already gone. We voted on that as common council a couple months ago. So that's taken care of. So it's only the construction we're looking at for 550, and I strongly recommend we put that above the line. Anyone disagree?
Now, the generator he was talking about tonight, is that the same generator? or-
Correct.
Okay.
So how come they're putting it at 360 or 390? They have a $390,000 tag.
Their estimate, they don't have the background work into it that our consultant does. And by the time you get, we've been looking at different places to place it. For instance, if we put it where the generator is now, we looked at it, it was gonna take about $48,000 just to put the wall around it to be code. So we're gonna probably move it over toward the parking stalls over by the dumpster. But I'm much more confident of the estimate that we have now. Plus, we've got a 25% contingency on it right now because it's just estimated. And until we get the design finished and get a better estimate, we can get that contingency down to probably 10 or 15%. So right now there's a large contingency because we just don't have it designed yet.
Roger that. Anyone want to argue we should not have that above the line?
No.
I felt we were already committed to it when we did the design.
I think so too. All right. So next is the,
Go back to the last one. So you're not recommending that those guys that talked to us earlier go with that project?
So
separate.
yeah, I recommend, we're already down the lane to design it and bid it out as a city project. So I think we should continue down that path. Some of the other things they talked about, we could add on to it at a later date and see how their numbers and what the grant opportunities are. I think that's how we see how that fits in.
In the end, what they're actually pitching is the solar PV and the battery. Yeah, the generator was something we were already planning on doing for a couple of years now. And this has to do with emergency operations in City Hall and all that, so, yeah. All right, next is exterior door for Park and Rec. This is a fire safety emergency exit type of a deal.
So yeah, this is, we're the only suite in the city that has one entrance, one exit. So we're trying to find a way in a second exit for us outside of our office. Our windows are so conveniently, shut that we can't get out. So if something would happen, it becomes a safety. With everything going on in the world today, I have staff coming to me, asking me questions why we're kind of in a box that we can't get out of. So this is a safety thing to take forward.
I actually have this very high on my project list. It's not a huge cost, but yeah, it's not a good idea to have a single exit for multiple people working in one location. Does anyone want to argue that we should punt this? Put it below the line. Okay.
Steve,
Oh, go ahead, Amanda.
I'm not gonna argue that we're gonna punt this, but I would like to see alternate costs for what it would cost to put in an opening window as opposed to the exterior door.
Or an emergency breakout window. I mean,
so,
there's,
so Amanda and I had a conversation today. We're on it. We're making phone calls, to see what that would be.
so let's put it on the list for now. Hopefully the cost will go down with a different alternative.
Correct,
Might actually be better to not have the door and to just have the window.
right?
So there are ones where you can just literally punch the whole window out in an emergency too, so.
Right.
So you're gonna have the door alarmed and then that's gonna be.
Right.
Okay. All right, fire department floor repair.
So this has been on, a few years. If you go back in the fire department bay, we did do the police department bays probably 8 years ago, but it's where the drain tiles are all made of metal. So when they rust, they expand and they bust up the concrete around it. So this would be coming in, cutting out all of those, or saw cutting out, busting out all of those floor drains, putting in new floor drains and reconcreting it through that project.
Yeah, I did have this above my line, walked through this with Chief earlier, several weeks ago, actually, and I did my own counting, if you will. Concrete is laid down in sections. And it was about 75% of the sections that were starting to disintegrate. It was a substantial number of them. I don't know. It is an expensive project, but I did have it above my line. Does anyone want to argue we should not look at funding that next year? Anyone not have it below?
It is getting to be more than cosmetic.
What's that?
It's getting to be more than cosmetic. I'm surprised some of the concrete chunks haven't actually come out.
Yeah, yep.
So it's 85 yet?
So that's.
There's some less
76.
funding in 2022.
I'm not finding, I know I had it, there it is. All right. And number 70,
85 or 75?
75.
Okay.
And then carpet in the meeting rooms.
This is, as this building is aging, we're going through, we've replaced the carpeting in the finance suite, the park and rec suite, the PD has all been done. So looking at doing the meeting rooms 112, 140, and the administrative suite upstairs. As you can see, this has been on the project 2021, 2022. What we do is we bid it out, we put the carpet squares in, and then we kind of see how much we can get done with the money and whatever the costs are at those times.
So I have this below the line. My own view on it is carpet. It's largely aesthetic unless you're starting to actually wear holes in it or it's peeling up or some of that nature. If it's just wearing, carpets wear, I don't know. I have that below line. I might be willing to say, let's fund one room and not both. I don't know. Take a small bite out of it. What do you think, Mayor?
I think we should just take it out. We have too many things in here.
All right. What do you think, Larry?
Yep.
Sabrina and Jared, you good with taking it out?
Fine.
Okay. Number 78, miscellaneous concrete projects.
Some concrete from around the building, the west side of the fire department and the west side of the Sally Port by the door entrance. And then on both sides. I'm not sure, Troy, do you know what these are all? These two concrete pieces outside? Either of you know what these are? Okay, so that's what we have.
Is it a trip hazard?
Trip hazard, I mean, it's with the amount of activities that the, police department, fire department are doing in that areas and stuff. It's,
That's A we're talking about?
Kevin, did you inspect it? Did you do a sidewalk inspection of this? Is it a hazard?
Based on the descriptions, Mayor, these would not appear to be sidewalks, so I have not.
No, I'm just saying,
Inspected
based
them
on
at
your
this time.
experience.
we did ask him to do the inspection and he told us no, because it didn't say sidewalk on it.
Oh, no, my comment to Jared is, and some of the stuff we've talked about, right? If there's a crack out there, I would bet it's an ADA trip hazard.
Oh,
ADA is only 1/4 of an inch displacement between any part of the concrete panel. So basically, once a concrete slab cracks or moves, it becomes ADA. Now, that wouldn't be potentially ADA because it's a drive area, not a pedestrian walk area, but you're thinking that was my comment to Jared. That if it's cracked, it's an ADA issue.
But if you were sent out to somebody's house and they had the same situation as right now, would you write them up?
I would say municipal issues and private residential issues could be different on that. I haven't seen it yet.
No, don't
Larry
tell me
on
that
that,
one.
but I can go out, I got a flashlight right now, I'll be right back. Kind of deal on my phone, but that one's there. So some of these, sometimes just if we throw one of these out, right, I would have a lot of faith that at least one of them I'd be able to fit in under a different capital project. Kind of deal. I have done
Sidewalk.
I have done that before with Dan and Brian, when we get to the end here, like the fall. And if there's sometimes some money left over in the miscellaneous concrete project, some of the stuff that gets funded from item number 2.
Yeah.
Kind of deal. There's sometimes where we can grab one of these that even though it doesn't make the list potentially tonight, as we get towards the end of the season, I get with Dan and Brian a lot of times on ADA park stuff, building stuff, and hey, do we have any extra stuff? And let's try to squeeze one extra in because maybe something happened or we got a good bid price. But that'd be the one where even if potentially one of these on 78 would be thrown out, I would have a pretty strong feeling we could probably get one of them done next year under other general projects.
So
so let's
defer
remove
both of these.
both of them and
Yeah.
then
I agree.
see what happens.
All right. Then we're on
And
to,
next year, if you wanted in, come prepared to say like someone's gonna trip and fall, or it's getting so bad, we
Let
can't
me go walk out there quick and then I'll tell you.
include it on the tour.
somebody's saying,
Oh,
at
the
least
tour,
one,
yeah.
maybe even both, possibly both of these could be done. under
Correct.
The 1 and 2 that have already been approved.
Right.
I'm pretty confident of it, Steve.
Okay, so number 79, seal stripe the city hall parking lot.
Same thing, very similar to the Omni Center parking lot, but I will tell you, this parking lot here is in much worse shape than what the Omni Center parking lot is. If we push this project off, we're gonna be talking with Jared and Kevin about looking at coming in and pulling out the asphalt and redoing this parking lot.
Didn't it just get done I feel like last year.
It's crack fill.
We crack fill it every year as part of our street project.
So, yeah, I had this on my initial look of something I wanted to do this year, but it did not make it above the line.
I mean, it's just one of those that, and even if we seal it and stripe it, it may get us 1 year, but it's in a situation this lot is, especially where the city vehicles are out here and stuff. I mean, it's in tough shape. It's got a phaser rating of 1.5.
Really?
Yeah, I just did it here when we had our break.
So you're making this up. Got it. Got it.
So, but seriously though, if you think it's gonna have to be replaced, then why
Leave it in.
would we wanna?
I mean, that's the one thing. I mean, I would rely on these guys to, give us a better understanding, but it's in,
Wasn't the toilet paper people just through here recently?
Yeah, but that was for crack fill.
That's-
So what you're saying is if we seal it or not, we're basically gonna have to replace it at about the same time?
I feel like Jared's has a disagreement look on his face.
Well, if you seal it, it's going to be putting lipstick on a pig, but it's gonna look nicer for once again, some of it's aesthetics and getting, people know where to park. So, but yes, that parking lot within the next 5 to 10 years is going to need to be replaced.
Whether we seal stripe it or not.
Correct.
If
But,
we-
but
if we're going out 5 years, then I would push that we stripe it.
yeah,
We seal it next year.
Okay, so let's seal it this next year.
I agree.
it would probably be
And
the
we'll
last.
plan to replace it in 3 to 5 years.
So, okay. That's in. Yep. Number 80, electric vehicle charging station in cooperation with Excel Energy. Again, that would be funded through other sources. And
That would be a partnership with Excel Energy. If we move forward with that project, we'd bring that forward as a separate agreement with
It doesn't
conditions.
require any bonding, so, yeah. 81 photovoltaic solar panel roof mounted, that's reference. See, now you've got 250 and they've got, well, 452 includes both, I guess. Yeah.
Correct.
Right, and then the vehicle canopy. So, yeah, they're still less than you, though. No. Actually, they're almost right on. Never mind. Okay. But that's not something we would be doing this year because they still have more research to do on it. It's like a proposal right now.
We have not engaged them to do any further design work or anything.
So it wouldn't be executable next year anyway.
It could be if we kept moving forward with it and got a design done, but
I recommend that we remove this for next year and we'll wait for more information coming back from Excel based on some of the guidance we gave them, and we can maybe consider it for next year. What do you think?
Well, I don't think we are waiting for Excel to do anything at this point, are we?
I guess we're at a point right now where we would move forward with a design of some kind to get ready for construction.
We don't have
Is
a
there-
design cost.
You know, this has been in the last 4 months that we've been working on this resiliency things. This hasn't been long in the making here. But we have, you know, I don't have enough. I don't have a good rock bottom cost like we do with the generator. We've been working on the generator for a year and a half, so.
I think we got the cart before the horse on this. I recommend that we put it below the line and we'll have more information when it comes before us next year. What do you think? I mean, we don't have answers.
I'd like to find out more information as far as funding. Every time you turn around, there's another program for funding for solar or wind or whatever.
We don't even have a generator.
So
When's the generator gonna arrive if we're gonna be hooking all this stuff up?
Well, we could hook them up separately from one another. They wouldn't have to be at the same exact time. I think in order for this to move forward, if we find out that they come back in a month and say that we can get a 30%, 40% grant or whatever grant that makes this more lucrative for the city, then I think it'd be something we should move forward with.
You have to apply for a grant. You don't just get one.
Correct. But if we see that there's availability and we can, you know,
Well, we can always next month add it back on, but right, with what we know right now, I just don't know how we could keep it on.
I'm willing to take it off right now, but I just want to have this be an ongoing conversation.
Sure. Yeah.
and I think we will pursue the grant opportunities to, you know, they're not gonna, if we would get a grant, there should be some sort of timeline that we could adhere to putting it in.
Okay. So then we go into the IT piece. Number 83 is enterprise resource planning, the ERP accounting software. And you notice on my sheet, I only have 100,000. That's not something we can bond for, by the way. If we approve it, eventually we'd have to figure out another way to pay for it, ARPA, short-term loan or other. But I only have 100,000 down because Sabrina in conversation has said that she thinks she can get 200,000 from other sources. Sabrina?
Thank you. So actually, I think we could get, I think we could probably get a system for 350,000.
What was that?
I think we could get a system for 350,000 with 150,000 of it being charged to water, sewer and storm as operating costs when we would implement the system. And then we've already been given 100,000 from ARPA. So then that would bring my ask down to 100,000.
I recommend that we move forward on that. Our accounting systems right now are archaic and don't talk to each other.
Right, and I guess, you know, it's almost 10:30, so my ask for this is mainly because our accounting software is really outdated. We do have an on-base system. A lot of systems have gone to the cloud, which increases our capabilities to let people pay things online. There's Right now, the city of Onalaska, the only thing you can pay online is your water bill. And even that system is a little archaic as well. But a lot of businesses you can, and a lot of other municipalities like the Village of Holman, you can pay for your cats and your dogs and your taxes online. And we don't provide that to our citizens here in the city.
Have any idea on time period for installation or completion?
Well, we would, we've started looking at the RFP. We'd have to go out for RFP if this got approved. But likely, I would like to get an RFP out as soon as possible and maybe have a transition next fall before the next tax season. But that's how Amanda feels about that. It would be a push to get that through. But it hopefully within the next year after we go out for RFP, we'd be able to have a new system in place.
So is there anyone who thinks we should not move forward with that at
So is
this
that
time?
still 300,000 or 400,000?
100,000.
Be 100,000 that we would have to find some kind of funding stream for, because she's got 250 from other sources.
I'm good at 100,000. I just want to say the cautionary tale we went through with the police department and the cloud-based, the data storage. et
So,
cetera.
yep.
All right, next is the downtown dash park security cameras. I do not have this above the line. It's a nice to have that I think eventually we do need to do, but I don't know that we need to do it 2023. Anyone disagree?
Chief, has there been any problems out in that area that we need these cameras? Yeah, if they put those horses out there, somebody might steal them. So,
Oh, does anyone want to argue we should have that above the line for 2023?
No.
All right. Number 85, upgrade city website. This is an ADA issue, believe it or not. And Amanda could probably, I know she spoke at last year about why it's ADA. I actually have that as above the line as well. We've punted this and it's also linked in with our rebranding.
Branding.
But can you explain the ADA again? Is it colors or something like that? What is it?
So it's like voice to text and providing larger print for those that need it and all the different functionalities to provide ADA compliance that our current website doesn't do. Also, city staff is very supportive of this. We are hoping that the new website will have capabilities to have an intranet, and so that we can move a lot of stuff online. Our S drive is also a little bit archaic and clunky. And so this will be a lot easier for everybody to use at council as well. It'll give you access to a lot of city items wherever you are in a remote and safe way.
does ADA also include like Spanish speaking, that we have to change everything over to Spanish speaking? or-
That is something that the new website could offer, is the ability to change the language.
Is there anyone who does not think we should have that above the line at this time?
We want the city to be as modern as we can, and it's almost a requirement that we have to have it.
Okay, so next is 86 fob door controllers installed at Omni Center. I do not have this above my line at this time. There's another one that I had on the want to, but when the line got drawn, it was below it. Yeah, Dan, you can talk it if you want.
I'll put a small pitch in for it. I think if we were to install these, it would give us more versatility at the Omni Center. When different events were going on, we wouldn't have to maybe staff as many people all the time if we could limit areas where people had access.
Agree?
I think the other place that we're looking at is trying to, for our locker rooms and things, then we can know who's in those locker rooms. Right now, they use just a key code and they get a key for a locker room and go in there. We don't necessarily, we ask everybody to sign out who's in there, who's not, or who's going in. If we assign and they're going into a locker room, we know exactly who was in there, who's not.
Again, I guess my view is this is another nice to have, which I support. I'm big into access control with fobs. I really am. But just this is one of those things I think for 40K, it can be punted another year. I don't know. You disagree? You want to have it above line?
I mean, I want a lot of things above line, but I mean, I think this is one where I can really see, like, say, I mean, with the fobs, you can access. I mean, people have unique identifiers, so you can,
Mhm.
if there was an emergency evacuation, you could see who was still in the building. If it was closing time, you could see if everyone had vacated. You wouldn't have to physically inspect all of the spaces.
How would that work? You don't sign out with the fob. The fob is to access control the door. You don't like use the fob key to get out of a room. So, I mean, how are you tracking who's in the room or who's left for a fire? I mean, how's the fob do that?
Okay, well, the ones I'm familiar with, you have to fob in and out, so I guess it depends what system you have, but.
Would you be fobbing out on this?
Yeah, typically it's to open doors.
If you
For
had
our
a
system.
list of everyone who fobbed in, you could
You can-
see who wasn't on, like, the people that were out of the building, who, you know.
Well, assuming they didn't just leave, but yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, but it also means that if somebody is damaged or something like that, at a certain time, you know
Yep.
who's in there at that time.
There's absolutely value to fob systems.
Rena, is this something the tourism fund balance could pay for?
Okay, let's just take it out for now and we can talk.
well, I'm okay with leaving it in for the next.
Right? Well, then we'll
Yeah.
leave it in. We're gonna have to relook all this anyway, so that's fine. That's just one last one. So 86.
Said it right, the last one.
Okay,
1 second.
ready for the number.
You're ready. Any guesses?
Oh, we haven't, no, you know what? We're not done. We haven't gone back to the paving.
Let's see where we are.
So with including the paving, all of our maybes, we're at $4,478,420. We're below the 5 million
That's way
Well-
better than I thought.
But remember, a lot of that is not bonding. There's got to be 800 or 900,000. I'm just looking at this, that is not for bonding. So we're actually not as bad as you think. We just have to figure out how we're going to pay for the short-term stuff. I really strongly want to pitch again it was my number 3 overall for the Pazer 2.0 rated Fifth Avenue. I understand it's 919,000, but I want to keep that on for consideration for next year or for next month as we look at how to do this, because again,
What number was it?
it's number 12.
Have it in.
Yep, that's on my maybe.
That's it.
Oh, is that in that figure? Oh, thank God. Okay, I didn't think that was included.
919.
Yeah, all right. Well, then I'm arguing for no reason. Good. All right.
Okay, well, I think we're good. to break.
I am too. Let's see. I don't think we had anything else on the
Someone wants
agenda. No, we got the pay estimates next then, number 9. And we got utilities too. Yes, we do. Yeah. Estimates number 9, but these
No.
shouldn't take
We're
long.
not done.
I did hand out an estimate sheet tonight with 10 estimates instead of the 9 that was in your packet. I am requesting payment of interstate roofing for the roof project at well number 7 and 8 for $40,840. Otherwise, the other 9 of 10 estimates are as you see in your packet tonight.
Is that a motion?
I move that we approve the 10 pay estimates on our sheet dated October 4th, 2022.
Second.
Motion made to pay the 10 pay estimates, or monthly estimates by Mayor Smith. And seconded by Larry Jurassic. All right, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion passes. That concludes the Public Works section of the agenda. We now move on to utilities. We have one item, number 10, purchase of advanced metering infrastructure for reading of city utility meters. Jared.
So I won't take much time on this, but I just wanted to bring it forward. We did have discussions last month about a our utility meter reading system and how we only have 45 days worth of data. We did get a refreshed quote for what they call the FlexNet system. So this would allow us to read meters from the Public Works facility utilizing 3 towers. Currently, approximately 3,600 of our 6,900 meters have the right MXU or the meter reading radio device installed with the meter. So we're a little over halfway. Just as a budget figure here, to do the one-time setup and the infrastructure for it, the towers, we're looking at 157,000 for that. Then probably the larger impact would be we get charged per meter per year, and we would have a minimum of 2 years of data in the cloud. So we would be able to go back and see hourly readings of what the meter usage was. At 3,600 meters, that cost is 15,270. Once we get to annually, and once we get down to year 5, when we get all 6,900 meters installed with the right where they all could be read, it would be almost 29,000 a year. So just want to bring that forward and share that with you. You know, we've looked at it before. It'd be a great thing. Also on top of that, if we want to have a customer portal where citizens could check their usage and everything, that's about another 20,000. So it's a lot of money to have that. Currently, we are reading meters once a month. Have about 100 man hours into that. And then we do move in, move outs anywhere from 1 to 2 a week. And there's, 100 to 150 hours probably a year doing those. So we're not going to make it up with the less staff time to make up that cost. It's going to be more of having the data, having the service, and having better, it's going to be a cost. So
Now, the new meters that you're putting in, they are compliant then?
the new meters, the new radios we're putting in can be used on the FlexNet system since about 2012.
But this is money, like say we did decide to do it, it's money that would come from the water fund.
It would come from the water utility, correct? It would be part of their water rates, correct? And sewer, yes, it'd be split half between water and sewer because we use the meter reading to also produce the sewer bill. It'll be split between the 2 utilities.
So to pay for it, we'd have to increase some water rates.
It would go into it would not necessarily increase it today, but when our rate of return would go down, so we would probably have to go for a water rate adjustment sooner is how I would term it.
Right, so is this just mostly for information right now? I mean, you're not expecting a decision?
No, I didn't expect that we're gonna run out and purchase it unless you directed me to put it into the budget or something.
No. Well, but would like to find out more. Yes, Sabrina.
I was just gonna add, for water, we'd likely have to go out to a case study sooner. And then for sewer, we'd likely want to increase some way our sewer rates to help pay for this. And sewer rates are already going up because of treatment
Charges.
transmission.
Yeah.
So just,
Is it something where it's just look at it, continue to look at this
Yeah.
technology and maybe look at it for next year's operating budget or next year's budget? Is that?
And I feel like it's probably where the future is at. I mean, if you think of like the day where the meter reader came around and then where you're able to drive down the street, like it's changing and this is probably gonna happen.
Correct.
I don't know if it'll happen this year, though. Yeah.
It's not gonna happen this year for us.
Yeah. So, but I agree. Eventually, this is probably where it's going. I'm hoping the cost will go down over time too, because I think more and more of the country is moving towards this. You don't think so? Even the annual cost, you don't think would?
The annual, it didn't really change much from 2019. Because we looked at this at 2019.
Okay. I think we need to keep tracking it, I guess. Okay. Any other discussion? All right, hearing none, we're on number 11. I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion.
To adjourn.
I'll second.
Put it out.
Motion to adjourn by Larry Jurassic, Seconded by Mayor Smith. So, oh, by Sabrina. Seconded by Sabrina. That's okay. Discussion is, I do want to say thank you, everybody, for being so patient. And I know that a lot of these can be contentious too, and I appreciate everybody's civility and professionalism. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Time is 10:43.